of these whiskeys would you buy without hesitation? Haha. Haha. Cheers. Welcome back to the channel. This is part 2 of the entire whiskey collection tour. If you missed part 1, go back and check it out. I'll put a link in the description. We're going to go through the rest of it in this video. As you can see, I've built a third shelf because there's even more that has come during Sober October, which is thankfully over. And check out the link for Patreon. We're going to be doing some updates to our Patreon. The folks that are on Patreon already, you know what I'm talking about. I've got an update video there that I'm actually making public, our only public Patreon video, so you can learn about some of the benefits that are going to be coming to the different tiers that may include you being able to drink along with us. Of course, if you're 21 and you know, all that good stuff. But check that out and then check this out. In that order, I would say. But let's dive in. We left off over here, and I'm going to jump backwards just a small tad because this wasn't here last time. This is a phenomenal thing. I'm imagining, because I had a great time with Act 8. This is Act 9, Midwinter Night's Dram from High West. Buddy Clark out there, thank you very much for living in Utah and being helpful. That was very helpful. And then I believe I left off at Sagamore Spirit and we stopped there, so we'll just move right along here to the Copper Tongue. I'm going to move along the clip because we got a good amount to go through. Again, if you missed part 1, go check that out. We were in the, the cabinet out there, and then anyway, Copper Tongue, 16 year. Don't buy it. Who wants it? Send me MSRP and or less. I don't know. This is, if you don't like the minerals taste, the mineral thing that comes along with Dickel sometimes, you're going to hate this bottle. I love the design of the bottle, and that's it. It's just not good. However, this Dickel 8 year, that's actually pretty decent. Decent stuff. Not too shabby. And let's keep on moving. I'm just gonna keep clipping through. All right, let's kind of jump down here. We'll go over here. The other thing I'm gonna do after I finish this tour is I'm going to do a whole revamp and like organize everything by distillery and just have it, lined out a little better than it is right now. But Balcones, I really like this guy's stuff. Anything from Texas, that higher fluctuation in temperature they've got going on down there makes for some really interesting characteristics, as well as the fact that they use blue corn in a lot of their mash bills. I've got some different stuff in them. There's a barrel pick from Total Wine, the True Blue. That's a phenomenal bottle. You ever see a barrel pick of True Blue? I highly recommend picking up. It's got real sweet and savory notes at the same time. It's like maple candied bacon stuff going on. Really cool stuff. And they got their Texas pot still bourbon as well. As you can see, I've enjoyed this stuff. There's only some left because I'm like, all right, I want to make sure other people get a chance of that too, not just me. And then their Brimstone, which it's kind of like their smoky whiskey, if you can say that, and True Blue 100 proof. Haven't cracked this one yet because I cracked the last one, and this one's just sitting here collecting dust because I need more people to come over and drink. And that's again, go check out the Patreon thing that I'm talking about. You can help me drink some of my whiskey. And Wild Turkey 101, probably the best bang for the buck out there for me currently. This stuff is just good. It's just good, and it's virtually everywhere. And costs next to nothing for 100 proof. Costs something, but compared to some of the other stuff out there bourbon-wise, yeah. Just hits easy. It's got goodness. It's got goodness written all over it. All right, I'm gonna put that back up there. Okay, Buffalo Trace section. Got the E.H. Taylor.
Do you want me to move over this way so I'm not getting in
Sure.
Get that
Wait, what? Let me turn this camera on. Are you? What? You look great. Whatever you think works better. You're the camera woman. E.H. Taylor. I honestly don't understand the hype behind this bottle. I'm gonna try it again, but it's just not. I don't know. People are always all over E.H. Taylor, and it's not that it's bad, but it's just not. I don't know. You guys that are familiar with the bourbon thing, you know that there's all this stuff about Buffalo Trace is just like, it's so overpriced and so hard to find and so overhyped, but not that it's not bad, but this particular bottle, I wouldn't buy another one of these. Not even at MSRP, personally. Sazerac Rye, wouldn't buy that again either. But it's okay. You know, it's a decent rye, but there's just so many ryes I like so much better, like the Sagamore and just, you know, some of the heavier corn ryes out there that are floating around. Then, of course, you got the good old Blanton's. Got to have a bottle of Blanton's around if you call yourself, I don't know. This is something worth looking for, though, if you can find this straight from the barrel Blanton's. Pretty freaking good. And Blanton's is good in its own right, but, you know, it's barely worth MSRP at this point, in my opinion, when there's things like Wild Turkey out there. Weller 107, pretty decent stuff. Wheated bourbon. Oh, and then anyway, that's the Special Reserve sitting back there. We don't need to pull it down. It's green. It's, in my opinion, not worth MSRP. That's just my personal preference. I just don't really like the Special Reserve all that much.
A lot of it.
What's that? Yeah, it's because I had people over and I'm just like drinking. It's like, it's not bad.
You're like, your friends drink my less than delicious.
That's the great thing. Like, if you have some whiskeys you don't like, then you share them with friends. Some people like them a lot, and you can share them with your friends, and then that's great. Stag Junior, possibly my favorite whiskey of all time, if I had to call just one. This batch 15. I haven't opened it because I want to find a replacement for it before I open this one. I do know where a few of these bottles are sitting right now in our county. However, they're just asking a little bit more than I'm willing to pay, which is unfortunate. I have tried to talk down a couple of store owners to bring it down to a reasonable price, something where they're still going to make money. And I tried to tell them, I'm not going to flip it. I'm going to drink it. You know, I'm not trying to make some extra money off you. And anyway, I just would love if one of these guys comes down to a reasonable price so that I can open this bottle knowing that I have a backup. Elmer T. Lee, pretty good. Not as easy to find, but it's decent. Better than the Blanton's in my opinion, even though it's the same mash bill. And of course, Buffalo Trace straight up. This is a store pick from Cork down in Long Beach. Great store pick. If you find a store pick of Buffalo Trace you like, man, buy some backups because very inexpensive and pretty good Buffalo Trace. And of course, some John J. Bowman that is like partly produced to Buffalo Trace, and they bring it over to Virginia and finish it out over there. This is a fairly new bottle, and I haven't tapped into it too heavily, but it is good. Very good. And then, if there was one thing that was better than the Stag Junior, William LaRue Weller. I think that Matt and I are going to be doing some kind of blind this month with Stag Junior and Weller and Elijah Craig Barrel Proof and some different things like that to like try and knock out what is maybe the best in our humble opinions. Yeah, this is possibly one of, I said Stag was one of the best, but the William LaRue Weller is just like, oh, if you've had this, then I think you know. I mean, my uncle, who's never really dipped into whiskey too much, had some of this, and he was like, oh, it's like, it tastes like happiness. I was like, yes.
I want to try some happiness.
Say again?
I said, I want to try some happiness.
All right. Yeah, we'll get Hillary in on some of this. We want to warm her up to, you can't just jump right to this. It's just not right.
Well, I've had a little bit of Chardonnay.
Got some. We got some Eagle Rare back there too. That one, I had a store pick Eagle Rare I really liked. That's not the store pick, and it's decent. It's okay. It's not my favorite. And I think we're done with Buffalo Trace. Now let's move on to Maker's Mark. I do like Makers. I've got some more Makers coming. The 46 was interesting to me.
All those
I've got a 46 cast strength.
All those were related to Buffalo Trace?
Everything up until this point. Everything from the E.H. Taylor, and now we've left Buffalo Trace.
It doesn't say on there.
How do I know that it's Buffalo Trace, even though it doesn't say it on there?
Yeah.
Just because
How would others know?
just do a little research. The back of this bottle says, distilled, Asian, bottled by Buffalo Trace Distillery.
Okay, so most of them probably say that on the back.
They probably do mostly say it on the back. What does this say? This says, I imagine this probably says on it somewhere something about...
So Buffalo Trace isn't just, they don't call all their whiskeys Buffalo Trace.
No, this is the only one they call Buffalo Trace.
Okay.
And then there's different versions of Buffalo Trace, like the kosher, some different recipes. And then Buffalo Trace is owned by Sazerac, which is like the parent company that owns Buffalo Trace. And so when I do my organization, I'm doing it by like parent company and then distillery and then, maybe alphabetical within distillery or something. But Maker's Mark, fantastic stuff, weeded. is great. I've got the cask strength back there as well. I recently got a 46 cask strength. I shouldn't be telling you the ones I got recently because that's for the Patreon video. But yeah, I do like Maker's Mark. It's good. This was, I used to put the Woodford Reserve, excuse me. All right, now we're moving on to Brown-Forman, although my Jack Daniels is in the other cabinet. We've already seen that. Woodford Reserve, double oaked. This is my third or fourth bottle of this. I was putting this in the decanter for a while. It's real easy. Something that's crept in, and something that's also fun about whiskey to me is that like your palate can change, right? As you like learn more and you just develop your palate more and more. Even oh bless you, COVID. After I've been drinking whiskey for a long, long time, but still my palate is developing. I feel like it's something that is a constant thing. It just doesn't ever really stop developing, and you keep building on it, and you learn new things, and things come in. It's fun. Evolution. It's an evolution. Thank you. And it's a lot of fun. And so, in part of my evolution, there's this little weird note that's creeped into this that makes me not like it as much as I used to, if that makes sense.
What is that note?
The note, it's a little like a little dry note, a little dry thing on the finish. Because I used to think of it as like banana pancakes, and which it still kind of is, but then there's this little like almost bitter note on the very end that I've noticed creep in. And maybe it's just this bottle. I doubt it. It's probably just my developing palate. And we got some Woodford wheat. I haven't tapped that bottle for a while, so I don't even remember what I think about it. I'm gonna have to have a glass of that. Woodford Reserve, very fine rare bourbon. Great, just not easy to find and sometimes expensive. Woodford Reserve batch proof. Would never buy that ever again. Just not worth the money, in my opinion. All right, let's, here, why don't you come on the other side, because I'm starting to twist my back.
Yeah.
Okay, so still within the Brown-Forman Old Forester. You know, this single barrel is good, it's decent, it's just a little hot. Drinks a little hot compared to some of the other, cask strength stuff out there. Just not my favorite, although I do like Old Forester. This 1920 is probably the best Old Forester in my opinion. Prohibition style, that's just some good stuff. I've got the 86 back there, I've got the 1870. And then that 1910 is actually 1915. It's a blend that I had made of the 1920 and the 1910 that's sitting in there still waiting to finish the last drops. I'm probably waiting for my dad to come over because he's a big fan. All right, let's jump back up here. We got some Old Carter. This is really good stuff. And especially if you like high proof, I mean, this one's not as high as some of the Old Carter stuff, but this is batch 9, the bourbon, sitting at 116. Really good. It's like chocolate, salty, sweetness. I love stuff like that. I love the blend of savory and sweet. It's like some of my favorite stuff when it comes to bourbon, And then the American whiskey, this is 138 proof. That thing comes in hot. This is like a light whiskey, I believe. 12-year-old, really cool. Not as good as batch 4, in my opinion. This is batch 3. It's still decent. Got some Widow Jane hiding back there too. That stuff's okay. Bardstown. Very interesting stuff, the Discovery series. I was fortunate enough to walk into this random cigar bar in Monterey and pick up a bottle of Discovery series batch 2, number 2. And that's great too. And I'm so fortunate that I have so much great whiskey here. Really need to have more people over to drink this stuff. Because I don't like just that. I'm so glad Hillary's been getting into drinking some whiskey now because it's like I've got a built-in partner here now. Sam Houston, 14-year-old, that's pretty good. Wouldn't pay what this cost again though. Calumet 15, I'd say even though it's like very comparable, it's not even just label, but like they're just so similar. I mean, they're the same mash bill, arguably both Barton, profile. The 15 was better than the Sam Houston 14 in my opinion, the Calumet 15. Good stuff. I would definitely drink more of it. Baker 7. Obviously, I don't not like it. 107 proof. Now we're moving, of course, over into the Jim Beam family. And we've got some Old Granddad 114 sitting back there. Got that nuttiness to it. Basil Hayden's. This was actually a gift from my auntie. She just grabbed that for me. Basil Hayden's not bad. It's not nothing special, I would say. It's an easy drinking. If somebody's just getting into whiskey, this is probably a good place for him to start. And then, of course, we got all kinds of Bookers back there and a little book. And I really like still Booker's and Little Book. Like, it was the first whiskey I had that was just like powerful. You know, I drank it and it was just like, whoa, there's a lot going on there. Like the cinnamon, the nut, the heat. And I was just like, wow, this is powerful stuff. And it still is powerful stuff. Unfortunately, it's becoming more expensive. So I actually saw the latest release of Booker's at the store, and they had it priced at $69. And I was like, oh, that's not so bad for Booker's. And I went and took it to the counter, and he said, no, it's $99. I was like, it says $69 on the thing. He's like, oh, that's a mistake. I was like, no, the mistake is making it $99, because now I don't have it. But yeah, I do really like Jim Beam. As you guys saw in the last video, all the Knob Creek I've got sitting in the other thing. Jim Beam is fantastic. I love the family history. And let's move on to some Heaven Hill stuff. So we got Elijah Craig, one of the favorites among whiskey enthusiasts, I think. A lot of people, as far as bang for the buck, the barrel proof Elijah Craig's. This has got batch B518, batch C920, and I picked up another batch of it. I got A190, I can't remember the numbers anymore. There's so many numbers. A121, something like that. Anyway, I'm going to be doing these in a blind soon up against Stag Jr. and maybe George T. Stagg, and maybe even the Weller. Maybe throw that in there too. And then McKenna. Hillary has pulled this for me many times on a blind. And I just don't really like it that much. It's got this weird rubber note. And the thing about McKenna is, like, I guess the single barrels can be wildly different. So maybe just the batch I got is just not that good. But I mean, I've really tried to like it, as you could tell, just because like some people love it so much, it makes me want to love it too. And I've really tried to give it many opportunities to wow me, but I just unfortunately don't like it. Pikesville, decent rye, pretty okay. Not my favorite, not my palate's particular favorite, but it is good, and I do like that we have it so that other people can have it. And Evan Williams single barrel sitting back there too. That was pretty good as well. And let's move on down. I'm trying to keep it moving. I don't want this video to be 30 minutes long. Some Michters. I'd really like to try like the Michter's 10 rye and the barrel proof rye and stuff like that. But these two, the American whiskey, this is good. This is my third bottle of the American US 1 unblended Michters. It's pretty good stuff for the price. And this is pretty good rye too for the price too. I enjoy both these bottles, and I like Michters. I wish it wasn't so hard to find their 10-year and their other stuff for a reasonable price, because I'd really like to try it sometime. But anyway, Four Roses, not too bad either. If I had to choose between the smaller batch select and the single barrel, I'm going to take the single barrel every time. I'm still learning a lot more about Four Roses, all their different yeast profiles that they've got over there, the OESO and the OESV, and just all those different profiles that are effective. I've got a really cool bottle coming from Jim Rutledge, speaking of Four Roses, that I'm really looking forward to. It should be here pretty soon, and we'll just save that for a future video. Okay, moving on to the Wild Turkey family. Russell's 10 and Russell's Reserve. I think just by looking at them, you can tell which one I like better. All day I would take the Russell's Reserve over the... Wow, you're getting right in there, aren't you? Mm-hmm. It's the Russell's Reserve versus the Russell's 10. I just... this is not bad. It's just if I had to do them both, obviously this just has a little bit more rich flavor, because it is higher proof. It's 55% versus 45%. So there is that. Really want to try the Russell Reserve 13. Hasn't popped up anywhere here in California that I've seen anywhere. But what have popped up in California that I've been fortunate to find at these random shops that I stop in when I'm traveling a little bit are these Master's Keeps. And this has been one of my, obviously, favorite bottles ever. I'm so sad that it's almost gone. I've got a horrible story to tell you about how I poured this nice hefty glass of it, had it sitting on the table out front, and accidentally kicked it over with my foot. And that was like the last glass I poured out of it before where it's at now. So as you can imagine, I was very disappointed with myself for having done that. But super interesting, very flavorful, 17-year, barrel proof at 86.8, which is almost unheard of for a barrel proof. It just happened to lose a bunch of proof, just the way that they aged this particular version of it. Then we got the Wild Turkey Diamond Anniversary from Jimmy Russell as well. And if you watch the Patreon video, there may be even more Master's Keeps that are flying up, and you probably saw over there. Just what I'm talking about. You know, you want to try some of that stuff. Join the Patreon. So you know, Wild Turkey, rare breed, rye, and barrel proof. I've got a backup bottle of this because these are probably two of my favorite whiskeys as well. Like if I had to say that I was only gonna have like 5 whiskeys ever again, bourbons, I should say, because there's actually some Scotches and Irish whiskeys that we picked up during Sober October that are it's just a different experience. You know, Irish whiskey and Scotch are just such a different experience than bourbon. And I'm like a bourbon baby over here, just getting all like, oh, look at all this bourbon. I've been drinking Irish whiskey and Scotch my whole adulthood mostly. And then I found all this stuff and I was like, wow, this is so much different.
Why did you have that Wild Turkey over there instead of with these?
Oh, I just had pulled it. I just opened that Wild Turkey right there. So it wasn't, yeah, it's just, that's when I'm going to start reorganizing everything and get it to where it's going to be. But yeah, probably both of these bottles, you know, a Master's Keep, William Lou Reller, the Stag Junior. That's about 5 bottles, right? Is that math? Something like that. So there you go. And then I've got my glassware up here. Haven't decided what I'm going to put in the decanter yet. Got a lot of cool glasses happening for every occasion. You know, if you wanted to have a little tiny snort, if you want to do some Irish whiskey in the 2-auth, you want to do some Aged Noir, have some cigar. This is when I'm having a cigar and some whiskey, go-to glass right there. Recently got these Scotch type glasses I'm drinking the turkey out of right now, but that's it. That's the end of this video. And as I mentioned, I'll mention it one more time. Leave a comment down below if there's any of these. I didn't mention this, but I'm saying it now. And then the thing I mentioned, I'm going to mention again. But if there's anything that you are interested in and you really want to know about more in depth, leave a comment down below. Which of these whiskeys would you buy without hesitation if you saw them sitting on the shelf? Not just an MSRP, but just if you saw them there. Which one of these whiskeys do you not have or do you have that are your favorite? Also, I forgot what I was going to say for the thing that I've already said multiple times.
Comment down below.
Yeah, comment down
Which one
below.
do you want?
Which one do you want?
Check out the Patreon.
Check out the Patreon to see all the, like, I literally picked up, I think I got a new bottle for every day of Sober October.
I didn't hear that.
Stuff and Whiskey. Buddies over there. Great channel. Still my favorite whiskey channel on YouTube. Got their glasses recently. Awesome. And yeah, go check out the Patreon. Thanks for watching. What's up?
Just like you got a bottle for every day. You got 30 new bottles? 30 new